Hey guys, so I'm a huge fan of Dune, and getting into it the last couple years has really helped to quantify some of the ideas in my mind that will help me mature and see things from this type of perspective, which I'm calling the divine masculine. Divine masculine, kind of like Islam is a very divinely masculine religion, and the themes of Islam are very prevalent in Dune. So what I wanted to do with this video was read a couple of really good quotes, because the whole book is one just endless series of one-liners that are just like mind-bogglingly profound. The book is great itself if you haven't read it or seen the movie. It's just an amazing, lucid, and extremely articulate amalgam of understanding of religion, mysticism, politics, human evolution, where we're heading, where we're going, where we've been. It's just a wonderful, amazing, unique. It's been called the best sci-fi of all time, and for good reason. So it helped me to quantify a lot of these ideas in my head, and I'm a huge fan. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to read some great quotes and talk about a little bit of how they relate to the type of things that I was talking about with my last video. The first quote: "Survival is the ability to swim in strange water. Survival is the ability to swim in strange water." So when you're younger, or when you're more left-wing leaning, or naive, or whatever you want to kind of call that type of person who thinks that reality is always going to be familiar, so it's idealistic. The idealist who thinks that the communist that thinks that a utopian society is the answer. But no, the man says that the survival is the ability to swim the man, Frank Herbert, said the survival is the ability to swim in strange water. Why is that? Because only people who are independent minded, who are libertarian minded, who are and women can be like this too, but men, I'm talking to men here mainly. Men who are independent minded have to understand that, have to be able to swim in strange water. Okay, things aren't going to be handed to you. Things aren't going to be familiar to you. You have to be able to adapt to circumstance, and to be able to swim in that circumstance, and not drown in the error of your perception that you think that things ought to be an idealistic way, but things aren't. It's just chaos out there. Sure, there's a lot of order, and without that order there would be absolutely no life or civilization, but by and large you can never know what to expect. That's why it's important to be independent, and not to trust other people who want, for example, to use a political example, to use your money for idealistic programs which don't help people, by trying to promote this idealistic view, but actually disempowers them from being able to swim in um, those strange waters. So I think that's enough for that one quote, because there's a lot of quotes here. I don't want to ramble. Next, Arrakis. Arrakis is another name for Dune. Dune, the Dune planet, the sand planet, where the story takes place. It's kind of like a Bedouin Muslim sort of society. The religion is officially the Zen Sunnis. It's supposed to be some kind of futuristic amalgam of Zen Buddhism and Sunni Islam. So you have like the society is like that has the meditative inner aspect of Buddhism, and the outer aspect of the Sharia, and the codes of the more masculine, the you know what I'm trying to say. So it kind of combines that in a very interesting way. Um, so it says Arrakis, their planet, teaches the attitude of the knife, chopping off what's incomplete and saying now it's complete because it's ended here. So that kind of reminds me of the quote, although it doesn't have to literally mean violence, but it reminds me of the quote of Mao Zedong, who said that political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. Now, idealists would have you say that, and feminized men, and white knights and everything, would have you say that the way to change things is to protest. The way to change things is to I'm sorry, because these are really profound quotes, and I'm trying to apply it to our modern situation. It's like kind of a special snowflake thing where you say you're good as you are, fat acceptance. You don't have to change your body. You're perfect as you are. Blah 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 blah. The exact opposite of what a man does is exactly that. Excuse me. Chopping off what's incomplete, being self-made, being independent, chopping off what's incomplete now and saying it's ended because I said so. And so it's kind of the way which things happen. Ideas can intermingle between people, but ultimately the strength of what persists as part of culture and civilization is who has the will to enforce their ideas, and who has the morality behind that will to genuinely, change the zeitgeist in a way which is in line with reality and not some idealistic fantasy. So I think that's kind of self-explanatory. It teaches the attitude of the knife, chopping off what's incomplete and saying now it's complete because it's ended here. So like if you want to end something, end stupidity or ignorance, you chop it off like a wrathful Buddha uses the kila, the knife, and he chops off ignorance, and it's done. It's gone completely. It can't come back. It has to be chopped off. Next quote. There should be a science of discontent. People need hard times to develop psychic muscles. There should be a science of discontent. People need hard times to develop psychic muscles. This is so true. It's so true. If you live in a decadent society, you lose your strength. Whereas if you are able to realize what the strength of things that happen that might be negative, quote unquote, or hard times, those kind of things build psychic muscles. They give you strength. It's like working out your mind. You don't become strong by having it easy. You become strong by overcoming resistance, like lifting weights. So since I've already been going on for 9 minutes, I'll try to wrap this up. Next, my father once told me that respect for the truth comes close to being the basis for all morality. Something cannot emerge from nothing, he said. This is a profound thinking if you understand how unstable the truth can be. Respect for the truth comes close to being the basis for all morality, and how unstable the truth can be. Because the truth isn't ideal, the truth is unstable because it's not ideal, is what he's saying. So that if you can have respect for that truth, which you realize as being true because you experience it and you see it for yourself and you're mindful of it, and it's not just an idealistic fantasy, then that's a basis for true morality. Proper conduct, proper understanding. So next one. What do you despise? By this you are truly known. What do you despise? By this you are truly known. The thing kind of makes me laugh because, I have a reputation of being kind of disagreeable with a lot of other people in the spiritual scene. But what you despise is what defines you as a person. Do you despise, you know, uh, do you despise police officers for doing their job? Or do you respect them and you despise criminals who don't take responsibility for their own actions? See, that's a whole nother this whole manly responsibility vibe that I'm trying to build here. And you should read Dune because it really goes a lot into it. So, by what do you despise this you are truly known? Do you hate the cop, or do you sympathize with the cop, or do you sympathize with the criminal? I know it's really trendy for a lot of these cultural Marxist, socialist, brainwashed kids to side with criminals, but I'm on the side of the people who do their best to deal with hard environments, and sure, they fuck up sometimes, but that's not what we're talking about. If you despise weakness in yourself, that means that you're strong. Or if you make up excuses, and then you just despise yourself for being weak, right? So next, cool your sorrow, weave the diversions for it. Three things that are three. Well, let me reread this. Cool your sorrow, weave the diversions for it. Three things there are that ease the heart: water, green grass, and the beauty of a woman. That's a whole nother thing about being manly, man. It ain't about um, being a chauvinist. It's just about being a man, and that said it. And that's it's more than just being hulking He-Man who runs around acting like a stormtrooper. But there's much more to being a man. Water, green grass, and the beauty of a woman. That's definitely another aspect of being a man and of divine masculinity. The mind can go either direction under stress, towards the positive or towards the negative, on or off. Think of it as a spectrum whose extremes are unconsciousness at the negative end and hyperconsciousness at the positive end. The way the mind will lean under stress is strongly influenced by training. So kind of just like that thing about the science of discontent. Do you take advantage of negative situations and use them to realize what's going on and what the unconscious is telling you, or do you use it to become more conscious? And by training yourself like that depends on the strength of your mind. Next, the highest function of ecology is to understand consequences. That was said by Pardot Kynes, who was the planetary ecologist of Dune, or the planetologist, as he preferred to call it. Ecology means just as the study of the ecosystem, the environment. So um, there's an ecology, of being in balance with nature, but it's also an ecology of being sound, kind of like keeping a sound checkbook, but in terms of your whole life, making sure that there's harmony. Like the ancient Chinese understood this very well, that everything harmonizes together, the elements flow together, and that kind of understanding of ecology is understanding the highest function of ecology is understanding consequences, understanding the interrelationship between things, and that's a psychological level, that's a physical level, that's a monetary level. It's a whole libertarian uh, 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 ideal of the balance between things, and that's also very much part of being a mature person in general and being a man. No more terrible disaster could befall your people than to train them, than for them to fall into the hands of a hero. That's also might not seem like it's manly, but no, being manly is being independent. Divine masculine being independent. So when people fall into the hands of a hero, they give up their sovereignty and they tend to project all of these perfections on the hero and treat them like they're perfect. But nobody is that. It's a false image. Um, there's ways to be heroic without being Achilles, right? And to do that, you can't really be under the influence of a dominant personality because then you can't express your own dominant personality. That's just my interpretation of that quote. Um, Next one is, how often is it that the angry man rages denial of what his inner self is telling him? See, that's also a very Jungian thing. The more that you repress something, it comes out as anger, um, and it's telling you, your inner self is telling you, your unconscious is trying to tell you how to deal with the things in your conscious mind, and so it comes out as this frustrated rage, etc. So that happens a lot with liberals and feminized men who repress the truth of what men really are, and it comes out as a bunch of butt rage on Tumblr and other places like that. Um, the power to destroy a thing is the absolute control over it. So that's another very non-liberal, non-feminine idea. The power to destroy a thing is absolute control over it. So by taking the masculine approach, like even in arguments or something like that, you project your will. There's a very masculine aspect, very Shakti, very upward pointing triangle kind of Shiva thing. Purush, the controller, Ishwar. Um, the one who controls it is the one who has the power to overcome it, and that's what being a man is about. It's about overcoming the competition of evolution and finding a mate and all that. The quote, by the way, was that in Dune they were talking about the spice mining operations that the Emperor of the Galaxy was using to fund his global trading empire. They said that if us band of glorious uh, jihadi warriors, Zen Sunni warriors, can use terrorist attacks to destroy the means of production of the spice, then they control the universe. That's where that quote comes from. A couple more quotes. Every civilization must contend with an unconscious force which can block, betray, or countermand almost any conscious intent of the collectivity. So we're seeing such an unconscious battle between men and women, between men and themselves, women and themselves, because they deny themselves. They deny who they are. They deny the past. They just ignore it and listen to all this egalitarian rhetoric about everything is equal and the same. And so it comes out with as powerful forces, which prevent anything possible from being accomplished in our country. So I'll leave that one as that. Power tends to isolate those that hold too much of it. Eventually, they lose touch with reality and fall. That's called the snafu principle. That when you become so divorced in your own, when you become so divorced from the lower people in your power, you lose touch with reality and they fall. that's kind of happening to the liberals right now and the left-wingers with the rise of parties like UKIP and the Front National in France and the rise of the far right. Um, because those in power, they lost touch with the hoi polloi. They lost touch with the unwashed masses, and they're falling. And the same thing's happening with a lot of this ideology that they espouse of egalitarianism, liberalism, etc. There are problems in this universe for which there are no answers. Nothing can be done. This was said to Paul as his wife was about to pass into the next world. Sorry, there's a spoiler. Or said by Paul to Shawnee. So that's something that's very important in terms of what I call the divine masculine. That you recognize that you live in chaos. There's no way to control the world. You do your best as a man to assert that positive triangle and dominate through power of your will, but you cannot. There's nothing to be done about the chaos which you have to encounter. There's no utopian fantasy. There's no egalitarian dream. There's nothing. There's some answers, some problems such as inequality, such as etc. There's no answers. The answer is the stuff that I've been talking about. Next, I'm going to rub your faces in the things you try to avoid. I don't find it strange that all of you want to believe in only what comforts you. How else do humans invent the traps which betray us into mediocrity? Mediocrity. How else do we define cowards? Ooh, that was said by the preacher in Dune Messiah. I love that quote. So that's such a wonderful quote. I'm going to rub your faces in the things you try to avoid. I don't find it strange at all that you want to believe in only that which comforts you. How else do humans invent the traps which betray us into mediocrity? How else do we define cowardice? So you want to believe in this comfy, huggy-wuggy, all of us who are raised by single mothers want to believe in this comfy, huggy-wuggy, social snowflake kind of life, and it lulls us to sleep, and we become cowards, and we become mediocre, because we're not able to see what's really before our eyes. We just become slaves to ignorance, become blind, and ultimately mediocre. And that's cowardice. It's cowardice because you're not facing the truth. You're hiding in the shell of illusion, of believing in only what comforts you. That's a very womanly, emotionally womanly thing. I'm not hating on you women, but we have different natures. Men should not cling on to things which comfort us. We should face things that are bad, things that are hard to talk about, things that are hard to deal with, things that are hard to do. That is it. It's not looking for a comfy utopian new age ideal. It's dealing with what is there, what's real, and doing your best as a man to, or a woman. I'm not just talking to men here. Women can listen, but I'm mainly directing this at men. Like move to Sedona, Arizona, live with all my new age friends and all that shit. But try to be your own person, face the horror of your own existence. That's what it means not to be a coward in that context. Last quote. The body of Muad'Dib, that's the prophet who appears in the movie in the book, is a dry cell like that abandoned by an the body of Muad'Dib is a dry shell like that abandoned by an insect. He mastered the inner world while holding the outer in contempt, and this led to catastrophe. He mastered the outer world while excluding the inner world, and this delivered his descendants to the demons. The golden elixir will vanish from Dune, yet Muad'Dib's seed goes on, and his water moves our universe. So yeah, I thought that was a really, really nice quote about balancing the inner and the outer. And to master the inner world is to, like we said before, to not be a coward and to face that things aren't perfect and to man up. So yeah, I hope that was an interesting discussion. I know you don't have to agree with me on everything that I said. It's just my opinion. You should definitely check out that book or read the book or see the movie if you haven't seen it yet. Dune. It's a great example of this divine masculine, and yeah, so check it out. See ya.